Hi everyone, it's Jen again. I've been doing a lot of work on my parody Isekai Otome visual novel, and I'm really excited to talk about the updates. Unfortunately, if you were playing the demo prior to this new release, those files are no longer going to work. You will have to start from the beginning again, so my apologies. I have a lot of variables that I changed since the first version came out, because I started to realize that the way I wanted the events to unfold were all going to be conditional based on both variables that were going to reset at the end of each day and variables that were going to accumulate, so kind of like progressive persistent data, although not necessarily persistent data from like completing the game over into a new save file, but persistent data from like day to day. There's certain things that I just wanted to clean up, and I figured I might as well do it here in the beginning when the build is still early than creating bad habits that are just going to be a nightmare to change later on as I get deeper and deeper into this game. As that was a big mistake that I made with Soul Union, was that if it wasn't broke, then I didn't fix it. And chapter 1 is just kind of a headache to look at. Chapter 2 is getting a little bit more organized, and then chapter 3 is when I really started to get into my stride. But even that, there's certain like kind of mechanics to the game that I think could have been done better had I known as much as I did when I started as I was by the time I got into chapter 3. So I'm still like a pretty newbie developer. This is only my second game, and I've only been making games for a little over a year now. So I'm still learning a lot. There's still going to be mistakes that I have, I'm sure. But I hope that at least going out the gate, I will make more of a concerted effort to try to fix things before they kind of spiral out of control. So because of that, I had to basically revamp the entire mission system, because I do want the mission system to be kind of progressive. Like after you complete one level of the mission, then it kind of goes on to a second level of the mission, and your status in these missions like affects what kind of events unlock and what kind of relationship status can kind of develop. So let me kind of show you an example of what I'm trying to talk about. Right here is some footage of like day 2, and I've already completed the kind of second level of the bathroom quest, the reading quest, and the food quest, and now I still have the second level of the Weaver quest to complete. And I have this achievement here that shows that I've already completed the level 1 of all these tasks. The way that I have this coded, because I didn't want this mission page to bleed over into like having to tab through like pages and pages and pages of missions, I would really like to keep it all to this one screen. So I have in my script for these conditionals where when you complete the mission, it will change that text to it being complete, and then when you start the next level of that mission, it will replace that completed mission text with the description of the current mission. And originally I had these missions labeled as true-false statements so that I could kind of toggle them on and off, but then I realized that I had to make a new start mission variable and a new complete mission variable for each level of each type of mission, and that was just going to become a lot of unnecessary variables and a lot of like toggling on and off states and a lot of extra conditional text here on my missions screen, as opposed to just making it a numerical or integer variable, and I could just keep track of what level of the quest that people are on based on a numerical value, which seems like kind of duh, but like I said, I'm a newbie. I'm a newbie at this, so I had to like do it the hard way to realize that, oh, I'm making a lot of extra nonsense coding text for myself when I could just make it an integer. So going through, I realized that there were certain things that I wanted to have as be true and false statements so that I could just toggle them on and off. Mainly things that reset at the beginning of each day. So these are all tasks that get reset at the start of each day, and it doesn't matter like how many times you've done it. I'm just trying to keep the options clean so that if you do one task, like if you sit down and you look at your journal for the day, that it will turn off and you say, okay, you did that. There's nothing else to gain from like keep looking at your journal. So there are some options that you can do over and over and over in a day, and those are usually like RNG based results. So those don't have a limiter of doing them once a day. But the things that don't have an RNG type result, I tried to limit to just doing it once a day so that the player doesn't get confused as to whether or not, like, should you keep trying to do this thing and see if you get a different result, or is that a waste of time? So I'm trying to make that a little bit more clearly defined. So I'm forcing myself to limit what I have as true and false statements as just being like things that are going to reset. And then other things that I'm tracking, I'm trying to give numerical values to instead. And some of my variables are getting a little out of control. I'll probably have to organize this later. As you can see here, I am tracking the player's location. Events are kind of based on either the location that the player is in, a combination of that, and what time of the day it is and what day it is. So during day 2, Ilian, the roommate, is around. So he has activities that he's doing at different locations at different hours that will trigger story events if you happen to be at that location at the time that he is. And yeah, so that is kind of where the gameplay is heading. These are all things that you probably don't need to necessarily know as the player, but I just wanted to throw that out there for anybody who might be making a visual novel and wanting to add a little bit more player agency to it. I've been deeply inspired by kind of like old text adventure kind of games. One of my favorites were Shadowgate and Deja Vu, that were by, I guess, ICOM Simulations Incorporated. That was like back in the 1980s. And these were really kind of like, they seem like visual novels to me now in hindsight. But at the time, I just saw them as being like adventure games. And they're heavily text-based and heavily just like conditional-based events. So it gives the player a sense of like moving around and making choices without always having to have a menu system saying, do you do A, B, or C? Because you're actively like choosing actions and choosing locations, even though you don't have like a physical, I guess, or an avatar on the screen that you are putting in constant key inputs to move around. You are still moving them from location to location and choosing to do different tasks there, fixed tasks that you know that you'll have access to. And so the gameplay element becomes more about time management, and it's a bit of a mystery to like kind of figure out like where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing and what the most optimal way of doing those things. And so that's kind of the gameplay element or strategy that I wanted to introduce into my second visual novel, as I wanted there to be a sense of like strategy, not as punishing as Shadowgate, where you die for every single little misstep, but just to have kind of like this mission system, this achievement system, and these different events that are all kind of location and where your status is in your kind of your mission progression, that would kind of give the player a sense of having to manage their time and make optimal decisions, even though like the stakes are not high. It could be kind of like a personal goal to try to see if you can beat all of the level 2 missions in day 2. If you can, then you probably know a lot of the options. You probably would have to go through all the options extensively to optimize it that well, or you would just be exceptionally lucky. But regardless, I will give you a fantastic achievement for being able to do that. So yeah, this is just kind of a taste of what I've implemented. There's been a lot of extra coding and scenarios, and I'm trying to set up everything in a way that will make this game easy to code in the long run. So hopefully, as I keep making day events, I won't have to go back and tweak the code as hard as I did in this last week, where I had to basically like reorganize all my variables. Like I've tried to set up all my variables in a way for like long-term organization that I can be on day 14 and I won't get lost and like messed up with like what's happening. I've tried to come up with a little bit better naming conventions, although they're certainly not perfect. I'm really thinking of kind of just like long-term how I want to build this game and to complete this game. So I hope that you all enjoy it, and yeah, I hope that you give this new download a try. I do kind of need more testers because none of it is really linear. I definitely need more testers to kind of go through and help me debug, because there's probably just combinations of events that I haven't tried yet, or there might just be like conditionals that are too hard to discover that I'm not aware of, because I already know what conditions need to be met in order to make certain things unlock. And yeah, I might have a skewed idea of what like the difficulty curve really is. So, thank you again for tuning in to my progress, and thank you so much for your support of my game. I hope that you will be willing to give it a try, even if it's not in a perfect state, because any feedback will just be really fantastic going forward, and any changes that I can make for the better early on will make the whole process easier as I go forward. So thanks again very much, and as always, enjoy the process. Take care. Bye-bye.